Welcome to Season 3 of Boundless, where we give voice to Good Shepherd Rehabilitation patients and their families. Our guests share their remarkable stories of how they triumphed over illness, injury, and disability through the arduous but life-changing process of rehabilitation. Joining us today to share her story about a little boy with a lot of energy, we have Kim Houck joining us. Kim, it's great to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Kim, and that little boy we talk about is your almost 3-year-old Robin. So tell us about Robin. He was born paralyzed. So take us back in that story. How does it all begin?
Yeah, I love to. So my pregnancy with him was completely normal. All the ultrasound scans, everything turned out to be okay. And to mention, I did have 2 children previous with the pregnancies went just as according to plan. So nothing stood out with Robin's in any of my prenatal care.
So third time around, going well.
Yep, all going well, up to par with the others. And then when he was born, or the night I went into labor, everything went fine. Everything actually went really great. And then he was born, and they took him over to do the APGAR scoring that they do after he's born. And that's when some red flags started to show. And someone came to my bedside and told me that, something was wrong with his legs. And that was really scary in the moment and surprising because everything seemed to be normal, up until that point.
Sure, normal delivery, everything was going smooth. So, okay, so fast forward, what are his ailments? What was going on with him?
Yeah, I love to explain. Sorry if it gets a little technical, but his paralysis is bilateral. So meaning it's different on each side. So his left leg, now it's easier to talk about and explain, but he has reflex in his hip and his knee, and then nothing lower. So it's pretty flaccid below his knee. On his right side, he only has reflex in his hip. So he doesn't have any movement through his knee or anything lower. So his left leg is the stronger one. The right leg is weaker. And to top it off, too, he also has a subluxation on his left hip, meaning it's out of place or moves in and out. So those are some of the things that we experienced. And
okay, so you have this baby. It's your third baby.
Yeah.
You had 2 children who are healthy ahead of time. You have this third little boy who has some ailments. So what do you do next? You're looking for rehabilitation, correct?
yeah, so we were really fortunate that the hospital he was delivered in set us up with physical therapy even before we left the hospital. Therapists came in. They were working his legs just to try and get some movement going in them. And yeah, like I said, they were fortunate. They set us up to go right into therapy. So therapy has always been a part of our journey for him from the beginning.
Okay, so you were elsewhere, but then you stumble upon Good Shepherd Rehabilitation. How did you find Good Shepherd, and why did you decide to switch?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And something that I learned along the way, because I always say, I don't know what I don't know. So we were going to the original therapy place, which was great. They had great therapists there, everything. But we ended up outgrowing that facility. So they didn't have the technology that we just seemed like we were plateauing. And so I heard great things about Good Shepherd through our pediatrician and through word of mouth from some other friends that had their kids go there. So I set up an interview, and I loved what I saw from the beginning and all the vast things they had to offer. So we made the jump to go there, and it's been great.
Wow. Kim, walk us through some of the rehabilitation that Robin has been through at Good Shepherd.
Yeah, he's done a lot of really neat things there. So they do use a vibration plate in the beginning just to try and wake up some of the nerves. He would do some standing on it in his braces, some seated in that. And now it's really neat. They use a Trexo robotic gait trainer. So it gives him the motion of walking, and the gait trainer self-propels. So he does laps every week around the middle level of Good Shepherd in Allentown. So if you're there, you might see him walking around, but that helps teach his legs and his muscles, this is how a reciprocal gait would look like. So he does that in physical therapy. He does do aqua therapy too, which helps strengthen his core. So he does that once a week as well, where they'll work on the stability as well in the water and just giving his hips a little more range of motion. And then we do occupational therapy, which is getting him ready for preschool next year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's take a little step back. How would
Yeah.
you describe your son? Third child.
Oh.
Tell us about Robin and his personality.
Oh, spunky, like you said, is a really good descriptor. His disability hasn't stopped anything with his personality. So he is a wild third child. No fear, which is fun, but sometimes not fun. He loves climbing on things. He loves keeping up with his two older brothers. So he's just one of the group. And we don't treat him any different, and his brothers don't either, which I think helps out with that type of outlook and personality that he has.
Sure. So Kim, what's his attitude been like, and his response to rehab through the last few years of his life?
Yeah, it's really come out especially when he started getting the physical movement going. It helped with like his vocal, like him just talking, and not that that was delayed, but I think it all comes together where before he was upright and mobile, he didn't talk much. And now once he started getting up, moving around, like he's more social, he talks to his therapist. He loves them, tells them about his weekends and all he does. But it's not just, like I said, it's not just helping the legs. I've seen a change overall with his independence, being able to explore his environments rather than being stationary or having to crawl, to them. So it's been a really cool change to see him develop into this little spunky human.
Yeah, how has it been different for you as a parent going through it twice, and now this journey's a little bit different? Talk to me about some of the feelings you felt in this journey.
It was to be honest, it was really scary at first. When we got that diagnosis, it was, I saw like flashes of like, what would life be like? Because I saw us at amusement parks, it wouldn't be easy anymore, is I guess an easy way to say it. It wouldn't be, we'd be in the handicap section. What would this look like? How are we going to adapt our house? And all these emotions flooded in when, this all happened. But then, once you step through it and take it day by day, that's when you start to, okay, we can do this. Just the little baby steps at it, and, you learn along the way and how to adapt life. And, he's not much different than everyone else. It's just the way he gets around.
Sure, absolutely. Kim, talk to me about what Robin can do today that he wasn't able to do just a few months ago or even a year ago. I know that this is also paired with the typical milestones of, a toddler growing up. But what are some of the things he can do today that he wasn't able to in the past?
Yeah, no, his core strength, previously when he would sit, he would be a little leaned over because his core strength was not all there at that point. So now he sits straight upright. You can tell his posture is a lot different because of the strength that he's gained. Like I say, he's more interactive with his environment because he feels more comfortable, stronger, stable with getting around in his walker or in his wheelchair. So he's able to just be that kid, now rather than just being, like me picking him up and bringing him to what he would see. He can go do that himself now, which has been an awesome change.
I bet. Are there practices that he uses in rehabilitation that you see coming home with him?
Yeah, a lot with occupational therapy. So there he works on how to get dressed because that looks a little different for people with paralysis. So
what does that look like?
Yeah, like an example that I like to give is him putting his shoes on. So if you think about it, for us, it's easy to just like kind of flex our foot, slip our foot in our shoe, tie our shoe, what we need. With Robin, we get shoes with Velcro, and he has to loosen it up, and he physically has to pick his leg up and guide his foot into the shoe. And, with his toes, making sure they go in correctly, and then he's able to close his shoe with the Velcro. But, even just putting pants on you can't stand up to put your pants on. It's not a quick, easy procedure. So he does leg by leg, guiding his leg in the pants. And then he like does a roll to try, different methods to try and pull them up while being seated or laying down. So that was a cool moment that I could say, okay, let's go get your shoes on. And he can do that now.
It's amazing.
That's something that I wasn't able to do before.
Sure. Milestones just look a little bit different for Robin, but they're just as exciting when he meets them.
They're so exciting.
Yeah. So how has the Good Shepherd Rehabilitation family kind of supported your family and you as a parent, not just Robin and his ability to do things like put on his shoes?
Yeah, they've been great. I'm a parent who asks a lot of questions because I like to learn and to know how to help him at home. So they've listened to all my questions. They've answered all my questions. And they taught me how I can bring the different exercises they do there home, maybe just in a little different way. And they're very, they're concerned about us as well as caregivers. So the receptionist there, say we have back-to-back therapies. She can be like, you need some time too, feel free, like we got him, if you need to step away for a moment, it's okay.
That's huge for a parent.
That's
to be able to have a little break and know that your child is in a safe space where they're taken care of. Gosh, that's huge.
And they just overall, it's been nice with even scheduling. So they have 2 of his therapies are back to back, but they put a little gap in there because they're like, then he can have a little break. It's not the constant go. So they really look at the big picture. So that's been really helpful, for me as a caregiver and parent, that I don't have to plan that out, that they work with me and they help out with that.
There's a team behind you.
Yeah, I do feel like it's a good team and just keeping me in the know of what's going on, different, maybe when he gets older, what kind of technology he might be using then. It's really neat to see.
Yeah, let's talk about that plan moving forward.
Yeah.
What is the plan for Robin? What do you see him doing in the future that maybe he's unable to do now? And is there a plan to move forward with that?
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what we call ambulation, is how he is going to get around. Right now, he does have his wheelchair, and he does upright walking with his walker, with his braces in a locked position. So with that, I am very nearby because he's still only 2. And if he would fall with his braces locked up, that wouldn't be good because he would fall straight down, possibly hit his head. And just with seeing him in the, Trexo robotic gait trainer they use and trying with arm crutches, I'm excited to see where he goes. And it's going to be a sad moment when I'm not there right next to him to catch him, to be his support system, but just to see where he goes with that and how he's going to get around independently without his mom right next to him.
Oh, so. You're going to be there, though. You're going to be there.
I am. Oh, I will.
And, you talk about all this technology. It's amazing to hear about this technology and how far, medical advancements, rehabilitation advancements have come. Do you think about that? Even when you put it in perspective of your other 2 children who are just a couple years older, technology has just come so far.
Yeah, and there's so many big things happening all over when it comes to that. We're fortunate our pediatrician really follows those paths, and he'll give us insight, they're doing this study about something that might help with paralysis or being able to be upright or electric stim, just different things that are out there for when he gets bigger. So it's crazy to think, even a few years from now, where it might be and what we might be trying with Robin and how he'll be moving around.
Absolutely. And it seems like the Good Shepherd team is on the cusp of that technology and always trying to advance ways to help their patients like Robin. And so talk to me about your experience at Good Shepherd and what it's been like overall. And would you recommend it to someone else?
Yeah, we've had a great experience with all parts. Like I said, we kind of dabble in a few different therapies and haven't had a bad situation ever there. It's all been wonderful. The therapist, what they're working on, they have clear goals that they work towards, and they have the parents help out with those goals and see where we're progressing. So I like that personally as a parent, just to make sure, we are moving forward. And like an example is with the Trexo robotic, it actually all records like how he assists with movements and all that. And we can look at it week by week to see as he's progressing, like how he's doing. So that's been
cool.
really cool to see. So just being able to, be part of the care plan and help them help him. And with that, I would highly recommend Good Shepherd, just because I feel like he can do so much there, and he will do so much. And they're going to support me the whole way.
Before we let you go, Kim, what's an attainable goal that you have for Robin right now and that you're working towards with him?
So the independence with his braces, getting more comfortable with those, and also self-advocacy. I know that's not necessarily a physical one, but that is an important one that they're helping him with him entering school, how he will handle, his ambulation looks different than the other children. So teaching him, to have a voice of his own and, stand up for himself and be proud of how he gets around.
Absolutely. Kim Houck, thank you so much for
thank
sharing
you.
this wonderful story about this wonderful little boy, Robin. Hopefully next time we can meet him in person.
Yes, he would love it.
Yeah. We'd be running around the studio, right?
We would. It would be a mobile podcast going on.
I love it. And that's great to hear that he's doing so well and really thriving in his rehabilitation. So Kim, thank you so much for sharing your family story.
Yeah, thank you for listening, and thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And that's it for Boundless, a podcast sharing stories of recovery by patients and their families at Good Shepherd Rehabilitation. Make sure you check out other episodes on the Good Shepherd website to hear other stories of rehabilitation and inspiration. That'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good one.